Hello, and today we are reviewing Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. This was something that immediately caught my eye when I was looking through Goodreads recommendations. I saw the title, Legends, Lattes. If you're a reader, audiobook listener who doesn't love caffeine, lattes, coffee. So immediately I wanted to check it out because I was, of course, a reader of fantasy novels and the catchy title and the cover art. So I added it to my Libby queue and it just came available. Now, normally I like to swap between fantasy, sci-fi, personal development, mix of genres just to kind of palate cleanse myself between books. And I just come off finishing The Eye of the World, the first book in the Wheel of Time. So here I got two fantasy novels back to back, but this isn't really a fantasy novel, even though obviously it's in a fantasy setting. This is definitely more slice of life. I've heard it described as cozy fantasy, and good or bad, that's kind of what you get. Just reading the description and going into this. This is a cozy slice of life story about a coffee shop set in a fantasy world. So what did I not like about the book? First of all, have to, of course, say the narrator I liked. Travis Baldree, I knew the name because he is the narrator for the Cradle series, a series that I'm currently working through. I'm on book 6 as of this recording. So I knew the name, knew the voice. That was a draw and probably why people are first giving this a shot, because he's an amazing audiobook narrator. Loved all his characters for Cradle, and the characters in this book we gave that feeling kind of nostalgia. You hear a little bit of Yaren or Aitan in the characters here in Legends and Lattes. So great voice acting. Audiobook performance is a 5 out of 5. Maybe the story is about a 3 out of 5 to give maybe an overall rating of 4 out of 5. Because to talk about the plot, it's just a slice of life. So if you've read or watched Frieren Beyond Journey's End, I've read the manga. Haven't watched the series, but the manga is great. It's just a very slice of life show / book. The manga is at least about an elven wizard after they defeat the Demon King, and it's kind of life afterwards, and there's stuff that happens. Here, very similar kind of plot points. We follow Viv, our orc warrior, who after the journey's over, beyond Journey's End, she decides to start a coffee shop. So kind of interesting premise that it's after the journey, starting a coffee shop. Again, like coffee, like fantasy. So thought I would like this, and I did like it. It was a great read / listen. I listened to audiobook, and again, I went into this with that mindset that it's going to be a nice slice of life kind of story, and I'm just going to be along for the ride, and I was along for the ride. So the beginning starts off as Viv opens up the coffee shop in this town and kind of gets situated. There's not a lot of really world building like you'd expect in a fantasy novel. Again, coming off of reading The Wheel of Time, which is world building, a lot of world building in that series. Here, it's just kind of like we're in the town. It's interesting, and that's it. But it's more on the main focus is more on the main characters, Viv and her band of people she meets as she opens the coffee shop. The other thing about the book, it's also kind of like a business primer, because Viv, and I guess that makes sense because Viv is an orc warrior, but she decides she wants to use her fortune to start a coffee shop, and she really has no idea how to run a coffee shop. So a lot of the early book is how do you run a small business almost? Like, yes, you need marketing, and yes, it'd be a good idea to put a sign out so that Viv doesn't seem to understand, at least at first, until she meets her companion / other character / love interest in the succubus character. So it's a little bit of interesting kind of like small business primer of, oh yes, you should do marketing. Oh yes, you should diversify your goods to not just be coffee. And as they start to expand the shop, it is a little formulaic in that first they'll expand the shop, and then we see now we need this, and then we need that, and then we need this. Like they install an air conditioner / fan, then they need to upgrade the seating, then they need to upgrade the ovens for the bakery as they start adding baked goods. And again, it's just, you're along for the ride. There's not really a lot of any surprises. It's just a nice story. And just about a coffee shop. It just happens to be in a fantasy setting. So there is kind of course, one like action subplot point that's going on about the characters. I guess not to be too spoilery, but there is a bit of tension that's in the background, and it gets resolved. And there's a little sort of not even a battle, a fight that happens. But again, this isn't like most fantasy novels where there's great details of the hacking and slashing and magic. Just an event happens, it gets resolved, and our band of adventurers, who aren't really adventurers, but coffee shop cafe owners, pick themselves back up after the battle and start over and rebuild everything, and everyone's happy at the end. So again, it's stuff happens to advances the plot. No real crazy foreshadowing or intricate world building. This is, at the end of the day, just kind of a character story about the patrons and owners of a coffee shop, but with the dynamic that it's set in a fantasy world that no one really understands what coffee is, even though apparently some realms in this universe have coffee, because that's how Viv saw it on her travels. She brings it back, opens the shop. There's a little bit of romance, and character development that involves or evolves over the course of the book. And we end on kind of a high note that everything's happy afterwards. So that's about it for as far as like a general review. It was great audio performance by the author / narrator, who again narrates Cradle, a great series. And the story, again, it wasn't bad, it wasn't good. Maybe to give it in the middle between the two, it's a 4 out of 5 lattes in this case, because it's good. It's like it's warm and cozy, comforting, cozy fantasy. It's not good, it's not bad. You're not that it's not good. It's not amazing, but it's also not bad. It is what it is. It's cozy fantasy. I would still, and it's short, so I would still recommend it if you're that's what you're looking for, just a cozy fantasy story, just to be along for the characters. So Legends and Lattes, that's my quick review, 4 out of 5 lattes. Thanks for watching.